The next question is whether and how expeditionary the Chinese military will be and what China's thinking is on being able to project their power abroad. And this is related directly to the previous question, and I would argue that their whole military defense buildup strategy to provide them with an anti-access area denial capability, or AAAD, is inherently active as opposed to a passive defensive strategy requiring an expeditionary capability. So the short answer to that question is they want to be expeditionary. The question is, to what degree do they want to be expeditionary? And I would tell you, that they are aggressively developing systems and doctrine that will facilitate their ability to project their power and to increase their ability to project power. China's nuclear buildup is aimed at expanding their ability to provide a credible deterrent to their adversaries, specifically the United States, and also to provide them with the ability to strike their adversaries from other places besides mainland China. Okay, and so I would tell you that they want to be expeditionary. When we let's go back and look at the parade of September 2nd and some of the systems that they had on display at the parade. And a friend of mine explains this as drones, missiles, tanks, and other messaging. But clearly, this is a military that wants to be able to project their power beyond their shores and take the battle to their adversaries, and at the very least, complicate their adversaries' approach or complicate their adversaries' strategic decision-making and how they approach China. We'll talk now a little bit about China's security ties and assistance around the world. And I would tell you, forget about the drones and missiles and underwater UAVs that you saw during the parade. I think the most significant message about China's security ties around the world came by looking at who was on that dais overlooking Tiananmen watching that parade. You saw Xi, you saw Kim from North Korea, you saw Putin from Russia, and a number of other world leaders that were standing there on that dais above Tiananmen, sending the clear message, and this was China's intention, that the United States will not only have to face China in a potential conflict, but will have their calculus vastly complicated by having to face challenges potentially all over the world, whether they be in the Middle East from Iran, whether they be on the Korean Peninsula, whether they be in Europe and Eastern Europe. And listen, if I was an enemy of the United States, I'd certainly make sure that I wasn't the only focus of the United States' attention, that the United States had to address its other security commitments while simultaneously having to deal with me. So I would tell you that that is the principal focus of both Chinese foreign policy, okay, to gather and garner influence around the world. China has eschewed, as we know, permanent alliances, but this is very much a case, the quintessential case, I would say, of my enemy's enemy is my friend. And so the other players in this, the other great powers in the case of Russia or other nations like North Korea and the so-called axis of evil or whatever you like to call it, they benefit from not having sole focus of the United States by China diverting them. And so it's a very mutually beneficial relationship between all of these nations. And I would tell you that is the principal focus of China's foreign policy from a security perspective. They want to make sure, and as we know, every move they make or every chess move that they make overseas and across the global security landscape, they hope comes at the expense of the United States. And so I would explain their strategy of security ties and assistance around the world. I would also mention, and several of our colleagues have done some excellent work on this, we tend to focus on the PLA's security ties, security assistance around the world. But China has other tools to use and that are very effective tools. The People's Armed Police, very effective tool. This is the paramilitary force in China responsible for internal security. Very effective foreign policy tool and security assistance, security cooperation tool for the Chinese. The United States does not have a national internal security force, but many countries do. For example, our allies like the Carabinieri in Italy have a national police force. So China uses the People's Armed Police sometimes for security assistance and for military diplomacy. And they also use the Gong'an, the Public Security Bureau, for the same purpose. So they have a number of tools that they use.